Drew Dinsick on the show coming up. How many different sports we're going to talk to Drew about? Preakness, a little tennis maybe, a little golf. We have a golf major this week.
Definitely NBA.
And, of course, the NBA, right. Golf major this week, PGA, Valhalla. And Valhalla, and then the, sorry, had to be done. And then the, can't do that for the French Open, which is next week. By the way, that's also with the French Open schedule. People are going to look at it and be like, isn't the French Open? No, French Open doesn't start till the end of next week. Tennis is second major.
Qualifiers and stuff?
Yeah, qualies starting at the beginning of next week. And I wish, we were back in the day where the picks in the French Open were sexier, but I do have a play on Iga Swiatek like I do in every clay tournament that she enters. Actually, every tournament that she enters. She is headed towards trying to get Madrid. Excuse me, she got Madrid last week. Trying to get the Italian Open this week into the French Open next week. So we'll talk to Drew about all those sports. Not to mention a little later on, our guy Hasselbauer to talk a little PGA golf with us at Valhalla. John Hasselbauer, who those who are unfamiliar with him, he does PGA betting and DFS content for the Lines at PGA Tout. Is his Twitter handle. Don't worry, he's in on the joke. And then Paul Sporer on baseball a little later on as well. Paul Carr, Premier League. Huge Premier League day, by the way.
Double dose of Pauls at the end of the show.
Yeah, a little Paulie there and a Paulie there. Carr and Sporer in reverse order. So we'll do that. Before we do anything, the NFL now has 5 games scheduled that are locked in. This is in front of the full schedule release tomorrow. 5 games are out. And just real quick, Kelly, to get us the 5 games that are out there and the spreads that are available on all of these at a place like DraftKings. We know, and we talked about this yesterday, that the opening Thursday night game is between the Ravens and the Chiefs. It's Baltimore at Kansas City. That's the opening Thursday night, September 5th. The Chiefs are 3-point favorites. The total is 47.5. The next day in Sao Paulo, Brazil, this is a Friday. This is on Peacock. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen, for all your streaming services. We had a Peacock game last year, right? This is the Packers and the Eagles in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Did we?
Oh, yeah, we had a Peacock game. Oh, yeah.
I know we've had Amazon games at this point, obviously, but...
No, we had a Peacock game.
Yeah, you're right.
Didn't we have a Peacock playoff game?
We're really firing on all streaming devices, yeah.
Eagles favored by 1.5 in Sao Paulo, Brazil, with the total at 48.5. That is day 2 of the NFL season. So, again, the Thursday night opener between the Ravens and the Chiefs on Thursday night. The next day, the Packers and the Eagles in Brazil. Then the first Sunday, we have one game that we know about. That's the Cowboys at the Brownies. You want to guess the line on this one?
Oh, man, I did not look at that one yet. Cowboys-Browns?
Cowboys at Browns, opening Sunday. It's going to be one of tons of games, but it's the only one we know so far.
Man, I pick them. It's got to be close to it.
Browns by 1.
Browns 1.
Well done, Kelly Bidlin. Kelly Bidlin guessing college lines coming back this year? 40.
So we should have done this today. Guessing line for 1
That's
second.
right. That's right. We should open with guessing line. 44.5 is the total in that game.
It is cracking me up, though. So what do we have 5 total, right? 4 of these just get announced this morning. 1 we knew yesterday.
Correct.
Oh, no, we knew the Brazil game, too.
Yeah, we do that.
It is cracking me up seeing the movement on that Chiefs-Ravens opener.
All right, and then the opening Monday night we have now. So this is still the opening. We still haven't gotten past the first weekend here. The opening Monday night, Jets at Niners. Aaron Rodgers on Monday night, two years in a row here. Jets at Niners. What do you think the Niners are favored by in this game?
I saw that one.
Oh, wait, this has moved up. The Niners have taken money. This is 5.5 now.
I was going to say, on my odds board, I'm seeing 6s too, Gil. So,
oh boy,
get your bets in.
Still time.
I don't know.
Inevitably, by the way, someone gets caught at the window, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, on opening Sunday morning.
Oh, yeah.
But this is the Monday night game. Jets at Niners. Niners favored by 5.5. And then there is one Week 2 game, and that's the Bengals at the Chiefs. So the Chiefs open home Ravens and then home Bengals. Week 2, Chiefs are favored by 4 in the Week 2 game against the Bengals. The total's at 49. So the initial reaction from people will be, oh, my God, what a way for the Chiefs to start their season. Home against the Ravens, home against the Bengals. The flip side of looking at that is, what if they win both of those games?
That's been cracking me up. I heard that a lot this morning. Like, We were sweating that Chiefs stretch last year,
The Chiefs gauntlet.
I mean, yeah, if they start off 2-0, oh boy.
Was the Chiefs gauntlet last year or the year before? I don't even remember anymore. Remember there was a 7-game stretch?
No, it was last year. It was last year.
Right? 7-game stretch.
I forgot about the Peacock thing. You were completely right.
Yeah.
We did have a playoff game.
Sure did. Playoffs.
Playoffs?
So those are your 5 games so far that have been announced in the NFL season. Little palate cleanser tomorrow. The rest gets announced.
I mean, those are 2 awesome games for Chiefs to start off with, but I mean, I'm interested to see what the rest of their schedule looks like now.
Those are 5 awesome games, as the NFL is awesome and the NFL consumes us. But it is a quick reminder of, there's a Peacock game too, huh? Day 2. Oh, so this is gonna be interesting this year.
I don't. As long as you can clearly direct me to where to watch games, like, don't we have all this stuff by now?
I do, but I wonder if most do.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
We do because we're so locked into stuff. But, I mean...
I feel like I'm getting to the point, though, where I'm one of the few people with cable.
I wish I hadn't left cable. I really do. Everyone's
like,
I'm so glad I left cable.
Everything.
I wish I had never left. And then I've heard the argument of boo-hoo with with all the streaming services. Remember how it used to be. Well, I mean, that's not an answer, right? Going back to 1978 is not the correct response to the counter-argument to streaming services. We only had 2 games every afternoon.
There was a bit of this conversation on a Pablo Torre Finds Out episode.
Oh, really?
About how basically all the streaming services are just becoming new cable. Like how we're just
That's right.
Because where do I go? What channel do I go to? That's all it's becoming.
Don't get me started. If you add it all up, I'm probably paying as much, if not more. Yeah.
It's disgusting how much I'm paying right now. Yeah.
Yep. They fixed this again.
I mean, cable with NBA Pass, all that stuff, all the streaming services, gross.
All right, NBA last night. Little Billy Joel Piano Man for you, by the way, in the background. Okay, NBA last night. Celtics. Well, first of all, we found out that Donovan Mitchell was not going to play in this game about an hour before tip-off. Did that surprise you?
Oh, shocked.
Me too.
Shocked. I mean, apparently he played through the second half of that game, the game before. But yeah, I was shocked, and as I texted you, I don't know how hurt he is, or maybe it's just, you know what, you scrubs aren't worth my future.
That leapt to mind. Because he looked kind of comfortable on the sidelines. Of course, it's hard to know, right? But Celtics win by 7, 109-102 against the Donovan Mitchell-less Cavaliers. So the Cavaliers cover not only the adjusted price after his announced absence, which got to 11.5. They also ended up covering what was the number when people thought he was playing, which was 8. So Cavaliers keep it within the number. They lose by 7. I just want to say about this game, Celtics take a 3-1 lead now back to Boston in the best of 7 conference semis.
Did you hit? You got home?
I got home.
God bless NBA Penny.
I got home. It's ridiculous I got home, but I got home. But the Cavaliers had a billion chances to take a substantial lead in this game all throughout, like the third quarter. They had so many tries. I mean, they did take a lead at one point, but they had so many opportunities to have taken that and then to have taken more. And there was just so many missed opportunities, I thought. They just didn't have a player just to rely on to score. I mean, that's as simple as that.
It really, they ran out of guys. Yeah. Like, you can't really ask much more from, I mean, I'm just looking at numbers now. Mobley, Garland. I mean, Karis LeVert's kind of been a no-show. Yeah, he was 1 for 8 from 3, but still dropped 19 points. Like, they ran out of people. They ran out of gas, ran out of cars.
More interesting game, of course, the Thunder and the Mavericks. Mavericks went into the game 4 last night in their best of 7 Western Conference series, semi-series. Mavs go into it 2-1 with that lead. The Thunder get it done in the end. A 196 outright win as 1.5-point dogs. The key stat of this game is that Dallas was 12 of 23 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
12 of 23 from the line. SGA had 34. Holmgren, 18-9. Dort, 17-8. Williams, 14-9-6. In defeat, Luka, 18-12-10, triple-double, and PJ, 21-12. But can I just say this about your Mavericks? May I call them your Mavericks so you have multiple bets on? I am so tired of Luka whining on every damn play. I cannot be the only one with this and Luka.
I don't think you're the only one. I think that I feel like everybody picks their individual player, though. Like, it's the whole NBA.
Oh, it's not the whole NBA. It's Cat with Minnesota, right? Though the chief offenders of this Or LeBron James, of course.
I mean, he is.
Right, he is the king.
He is the king.
He is the evolutionary descendant of Rick Barry, who I'm too young to even remember. Rick Barry, who used to complain on everything back in the early 70s. LeBron is the king of the current day. Like Karl Anthony Towns, doesn't matter if anyone's even within his area code, he's complaining. Yeah. And Luka, I'm sorry for as great as Luka is, enough already. He is so much more concerned with complaining to the refs than he is winning a basketball game. And by the way, I think the attitude trickles down because you have guys like Lively and P.J. Washington who appear far more concerned with getting in kerfuffles and preening about stuff.
Lively's fiery. Yep.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yep. Y'all have won nothing. You're nobody in this league. Nobody knows who you are except for Luka. Stop it. Thunder win. And you find yourself rooting for the Thunder, if you don't have a bet on the Mavericks, of course. And we're knotted up 2 games apiece, headed back to OKC.
Just SGA, silent killer in this game. Again, just
so good.
Hitting everything from the mid-range down the stretch, 34 points, never lets up.
And he's the opposite, right? You have no idea what the score is when he's playing. No idea what the score is.
He'll give one of these once in a while. I like this.
Like a tennis player.
Where's the call?
Yeah. Great series besides the Celtics one. We'll get Drew's thoughts on all that, plus the Preakness, tennis, golf. It's all on the other side. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Are you ready to become your own sports betting expert? Look no further than a VSiN Pro subscription. Your ticket to insider insights, exclusive data, and winning strategies. For a limited time only, we're offering our annual subscription at an unbeatable price, normally priced at $240. You can now grab your subscription for just $199. Sign up today. We'll also give you an extra 2 months for free. That's 14 months of VSiN Pro access for less than 50 cents a day when you use promo code ANG. With VSiN Pro, you'll gain instant access to our daily best bets with the leaderboard to see who has the best win percentage and ROI. 19 hours of live programming, including expert breakdowns and in-game analysis, proven betting systems from professional handicappers, and our exclusive betting splits to show you where the money and bets are moving for every game. Visit VSiN.com/subscribe today to claim your 14 months of VSiN Pro for only $199 with promo code ANG.
Spring sale at VSiN. We're slashing prices. Just use that promo code ANG as in A, numbers, game, ANG.
Slashing prices. That's VSiN.com/subscribe. Kelly has the used car salesman sticker on the windshield feel.
Okay, carried over from last week, right? I had
That's right.
I had like the motocross Monday.
You know how
get down to the fairgrounds.
Fairgrounds. You know how we during March Madness we did the whole what's the most annoying commercial breakdown. It was the SGA Chet Holmgren What a Girl Wants. I think that edged out the competition. The latest most annoying commercial, NBA playoffs.
They changed the janky phone one, by the way. They changed that one. Remember we were discussing that? They recognized people were not happy about it, like myself.
Right.
And they changed it. And here's the problem, though. They changed it, and then they made it worse. So now I'm the guy at home where I'm like, oh, you should have changed this, even though I complained about it.
Any guesses? Most annoying commercial?
Now what do you got?
Where does the suit and perk begin?
Oh, gosh, yeah. That one's really bad.
No question. No doubt. Number one. Drew Dinsick, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure he has an opinion on the subject. He's whale_capper on Twitter. He is the host of Not One But Two podcast, co-host on both. Jake Croucher, NBC Sports Bet the Edge, is co-host on that one. And, of course, Dinsick Classic, The Deep Dive with Andy Molitor. Courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line, he comes to us from the LBC. How you doing, Drew?
I'm doing great, and I have plenty of opinions on commercials. If your brain isn't broken like my brain is broken to where you know the commercial break is coming up and you get on your phone preemptively and you're not even completely detached from what's going on the screen, then you're not doing it right. I honestly don't think I've interacted you remember, I'm sure you guys probably talked about this, but when the Whopper commercial was going on and people were like tweeting about it, I'm like, what are they Whopper? What? It completely missed me. Like I have kind of divorced my attention to the degree where as soon as the action is not live, I'm on to something else.
Whopper. Well, I don't even know that one either. Yeah.
Oh gosh, it was a Burger King commercial, ran for like 7 years. It feels like. Yeah, I know what Drew's talking about. But so I did this last night where you try to get cute, flipping channels right, and then getting back. But, like, I did that and missed, like, 7 points in a basketball game last night and then got really mad that I changed the channel.
Yeah. I did a lot of that last night.
Yeah, I'm just right into the group chat bitching about my my bets that are losing.
All right.
I got all kinds of complaints. Can you believe that this guy's still out there? What is this coach thinking?
What is specifically from last night? Share with us. What was that?
What is Dagan out doing with Giddey in the starting lineup? What is he doing? I did not understand it in any stretch of the imagination to trot him back out there. You hadn't seen enough? You had to see his career end like that on live TV? Like, what in the world was going on with that decision making? I mean, the fact that they had other options and they didn't even try it for Game 4 was amazing to me. They dug themselves a hole. That said, I think ultimately, you know, the overall arc that you saw from the Thunder and all of those young men kind of fighting through adversity the way they did last night was like, it was a massive step forward for
I thought so
that
too.
team.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So think about how many times, you know, okay. Great example. Grizzlies Warriors comes to mind, right? Like, I will go to my grave that the Grizzlies were the better, more talented team in that series, and they, you know, that was the right bet from the jump. But every time that they hit adversity in that series, like when the Warriors hit adversity, the vets knew what to do. It was like they had been there before, they had been in the trenches, they'd been through war, and they all just did their jobs. Nobody lost their cool. And every time adversity hit the Grizzlies, it was just like, what's going on? Why aren't the refs helping us? Like, it was like nobody really like was able to like keep their cool and like just do their job. And what you saw with the Thunder last night felt like the opposite, where it was like, man, everything was going against them. Nobody could hit a shot. They dug themselves a 10-point hole because of the Giddey nonsense to start. And then, you know, it was, hey, it's the fourth quarter. We need to tighten up our defensive rotations. We have a couple of defensive actions that I thought were just absolutely masterful when they knew kind of where Luka wanted to go with the ball. And they had Lou Dort basically kind of shape his defense and pushed him right into Chet Holmgren a couple of times. And it was like, and then, you know, now you got length and you got Dort, and it was just like, oh, it was just perfect defense. And then on top of that, you know, SGA and Jalen Williams, finally Jalen Williams offense shows up in the, you know, final 4 minutes there to help that Thunder team put that game away. And I, like, you know, a young team making those type of steps at this stage of the playoffs, I think is going to be pretty darn important. And they look the freshest and the healthiest of the teams in the West right now. And so, you know, I honestly think sitting on some Thunder 5-1 to win the West, I'm feeling pretty confident having seen them make that step forward last night.
There you go. That definitely rises back to life. Thunder 5-1. Yesterday I started the show by talking about the unbelievable change of mindset in the Nuggets Timberwolves series, how, you know, most folks believe that the Nuggets as defending champs were probably the favorite, and the market agreed with this, favorites, besides the fact that the Celtics had an easier path in the Eastern Conference that made them shorter. But generally speaking, that the Nuggets were the favorite to repeat. Then they lose those 2 games at home against the T-Wolves. Everybody's minds completely shifts. I'm raising my hand. I was no different. And now we're back to 2-2. That's a Game 5 that is tonight, and I'm curious where you stand on this with the Nuggets as 4-point favorites in this ballgame.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be, well, I mean, I think this one's going to be phenomenally close. I don't make this one 4. I'm at 2.5, so I would say Timberwolves are pass for me, but I haven't made a bet on this one yet. And really the answer is I can't tell you, you know, what the Timberwolves can, you know, like I can't see the future in terms of what adjustments Finch is going to try to make here. You know, you can point to the defensive intensity slipping a little bit from them from game 2 to 3 and 4. You can point to, you know, the offense starting to kind of get mired in the muck a little bit, particularly, you know, Karl Anthony Towns' ability to create, you know, some of his mismatches that were so important in games 1 and 2. And, you know, I'm not sure where the Timberwolves go to fix. Like, do they focus mostly on the defensive side or the offensive side? And, you know, how do they particularly respond to the fact that it seems like the Nuggets have solved one small aspect of their defense where they were trying to keep Conley away from Jamal Murray? And I was with you 100% that the Nuggets losing those first 2 games, it was like, well, I guess that's it. Wow. Yeah. And it had less to do with the results of those games, which, I mean, obviously the results were important. And it had more to do with, like, you're just watching Jamal Murray out there and you're like, well, this guy can't play playoff basketball. Like, he's completely hobbled. And for whatever reason, the 3 days off that they had between game 2 and game 3, it was like he went into a time machine and he's perfectly healthy again, even though he's dealing with this calf ailment. And I think, honestly, if he can perform at the level we saw from him in game 4, which wasn't like as good as, playoff Murray has been, but certainly better than what we saw in the early part of the series, then, the Nuggets are certainly live to get through to the next round. However, the Timberwolves still have some pretty solid mismatches here. And I think you've seen the Nuggets kind of respond with a huge game from Michael Porter Jr. in game 3, huge game from Aaron Gordon in game 4. You're getting contributions from the bench that I think are somewhat unsustainable, particularly, if you're getting 25 minutes from Christian Braun and you're getting, your made threes from Reggie Jackson and Holiday, like, you're all a little bit on borrowed time. And I think this is probably going to go 7. And my guess is that this is going to get distilled to just, what can Anthony Edwards do? Can he put on his Superman cape? Is Cat gonna, is he going to rise when, they're in an elimination game? Because elimination game is coming, whether it's in game 6 or 7. What does Cat do in that moment? And then in particular, has Jokic solved the Timberwolves defense? And I don't know that the answer to that is emphatically yes. I'm hopeful that there's going to be some opportunities to play some game 6, game 7 under here. But right now it looks to me like the total is a little low for game 5. And if I was going to have any kind of play, I think I'm leaning into the Timberwolves getting Karl Anthony Towns more involved offensively in this one, being competitive on the offensive side of the ball, and having this game be somewhat decided in the late stages one way or the other. And I don't have any skin in the game for either of these teams either winning this series or winning the West. I'm entirely against both of these squads. And so I kind of just want this series to get real physical and go real long. And, whoever emerges being somewhat of a soft out in the early portions of the Western Conference Finals.
If your Thunder do get through, and that's a big if, obviously, that series tied up at 2 apiece.
Yeah.
But if they do, what's the series price against the Nuggets? What's the series price against the T-Wolves?
My price against the Nuggets is going to be about -130. My price against the T-Wolves is going to be about -165. And I think the market is going to be low on both of those. It could definitely I definitely could see the Nuggets likely being road favorites in that series. And so would have add more Thunder. And I think Timberwolves probably going to be closer to like maybe -120 pick them on at market. So I'm going to be Thunder heavy on both of those series.
Just to clarify, you said the Thunder would be favorites in both of those series?
For me, yeah, my numbers would have Thunder's favorites, but I think the Nuggets are going to open as market favorites if that's your Western Conference Finals.
Interesting. Okay, we'll come back, get his thoughts on the Pacers and the Knicks. Then, of course, tennis and the Preakness Numbers Game VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This segment of A Numbers Game is brought to you by ZYN nicotine pouches. There's only one #1 draft pick. There's only one champion at the end of the season. And there's only one nicotine pouch brand in America that outsells the rest, and that is ZYN. ZYN is a smoke-free, spit-free, hassle-free nicotine pouch that can be enjoyed anywhere, anytime. Find your ZYN at ZYN.com. That's ZYN.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Wow, smoke-free and spit-free, huh?
That's right.
Because, you look around, some are smoke-free and some are spit-free, but you rarely get the smoke and spit-free together.
It's the ZYN way.
Yeah, it's the ZYN way.
There's in it
That's exactly
to win it.
right. What did you just say?
There's in it to win it. Okay?
Kelly Bidlin, everybody. There's in it to win it. Skill Alexander. It's Kelly Bidlin, producer number 9. So much more than a producer. Drew Dinsick, kind enough to join us for a second segment at Whale_Capper. For courtesy, progressive guest line from the Deep Dive and Bet the Edge podcast at NBC Sports. Real quick before we get off basketball, I was saying off air that in the first segment I was making the point that if anything, the Thunder are the more mature team. The younger team is the more mature team than the Mavericks, who starting at the top with Luka have been nothing but whiny little you-know-whats. Like Luka just cannot stop. And you said what?
Well, they're kind of tilting the balance against them in this series because he specifically, but the Thunder, the Mavs in general spend so much time arguing with the refs after not getting a call that they're giving very, very straightforward, easy transition baskets to the Thunder. Yep. And I don't know if anyone is keeping track of this, but I got to tell you that being specifically the difference in this series would not shock me because it feels like there's a free 10 points for the Thunder in every game with just the time spent complaining to the refs.
Anything on the Pacers and the Knicks tonight, Game 5 back at MSG, where the Knicks are now a 1.5-point favorite?
Agree with the market move, but I don't think there's a bet to be had on the Knicks right now. This is going to be a very close call. I don't know exactly what the Knicks can do at this point in terms of making any type of adjustment. I think they just got to stick with what they got, and that's going to be a lot of pressure to chew out there. I think his offensive contributions are clearly and obviously muted. The spacing issues for Brunson are real when he is on the floor, and really with any option, any combination they can come up with, unless Deuce McBride all of a sudden, from the previous series shows up. But I think the Knicks are going to have to slow this down. They can't win a track meet with the Pacers. The Pacers proved that early in Game 4, where they were just like, hey man, if we run, we can really get these guys to quit. And I think the Knicks are going to come out and play a lot more physical style of basketball. I think they're going to lean into the whistle a little bit, and you're going to get you're going to get a pretty sloppy game here. And I think the under 217 is the best way to attack that, and play a little alt under 207.5 as well.
All right, let's go to tennis. Tennis's second major, the clay court slam. Round 1 begins. This is always funny with folks because the schedule that they put out Roland Garros is confusing. But it's going to be the beginning of not next week, but the beginning of the following week. So we're talking May 27th. That's when round 1 at Roland Garros begins. They're finishing up still. We're on the business end of the tournament in Rome currently. Let's just set it out for people who are landing on tennis right now. You have clay court tennis and Roland Garros specifically. So Iga Swiatek is a young Rafa Nadal. She is looking for her 4th French Open title and her 5th Slam overall. Once that tournament begins, she is the favorite. I'm curious if you would look any other way, and more specifically on the men's side, this is different. We have a situation where we have injuries with Sinner, we have injuries with Alcaraz. Nadal may or may not play it, and then Djokovic had a bottle hit him on the head, and then he didn't look very good against Tabilo. So I wonder where you stand. Let's start with the women first. That might be easier, and then talk about how you feel about men's futures right now.
Yeah, the women's side is substantially easier. Don't overthink it. Iga is peaking here at Rome. The quality of tennis that we saw when she flipped the switch on Angie Kerber and then carried through to Keys today was exactly where she wants to be in terms of prep and kind of form heading into Roland Garros. If she does not win this, I will be sincerely surprised, and honestly I would expect that she could probably win this with a little flourish. Find a little long shot prop on wins without dropping a set type of deal, because the gap between her and the rest of the field on clay is massive when she is at her top form, and it looks like she's rounding into that as we speak. So Sabalenka, the only other realistic contender considering what we've seen from the rest of the women on clay this cycle. I think Goff is kind of a paper tiger. I think Rybakina is a huge question mark in terms of health and fitness, and so it's probably going to be Sabalenka, Iga in the final. And if it's anything, the best chance Sabalenka had was in Madrid, and she almost got Iga in Madrid in the final there. And I think the conditions on Philippe Chatrier on the final Saturday of Roland Garros definitely lean in favor of Miss Swiatek.
Ben, is it time to take a shot at a long shot?
Without question. I don't think I've ever, in all of the years we've previewed, slam tennis, and it's going back a while now.
Yes.
The pool of contenders is pretty narrow. We're like, well, 3 or 4 men can realistically win this. I would say that's very untrue this year, because Carlos Alcaraz's elbow injury, not only does that affect his ability to perform well on clay and get his spin and get power out of his forehand. He may just not be able to go. Like it's still, we have no evidence to say that he's going to be anywhere close to top form for Roland Garros. So he being the favorite is amazing to me right now in the market. Sinner may not play also. He's apparently being recommended by his doctors to sit out the French Open and really kind of, stay off clay for a while because of a lingering hip injury that they're trying to avoid becoming chronic. And honestly, the wording of all of those reports makes me like gives me chills, kind of like, oh man, like if this is like they're actually at this point in his career, at this age, they're worried about chronic injury for him. That is a massive red flag. So Sinner is a clear pass for me at the French Open. And honestly, if you want to get French Open bets in, today may be the day, because you're going to start like in the next week. Next time we talk, Gil, on this show, like Alcaraz might be out, Sinner likely will be out, Nadal may be out, and Djokovic, who in the world knows what's going on with him right now? Like, he is not playing well. The Tabilo performance was so suspect that it immediately forced everyone to become a doctor on head injuries and figure out, well, where did the water bottle hit him on the head, and how badly was he concussed? That
was
he
it
played
the
this
medulla
poorly?
oblongata? That's right. It was very specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Djokovic, don't get me wrong, he has had some wild, bizarre losses, and especially in the later portion of his career where he is just completely no-shown in matches. The data from that match against Tabilo was like,
he got destroyed. Yeah.
What? Like, I mean, like some of the specific numbers you saw were like so appalling that I had to go back and watch the match, because I didn't even watch it in the first place because I didn't think it was going to be of interest.
Who did?
No, I had to go back and watch it, and like his balance is completely out of whack. Like, I honestly, and he's the kind of player that does need reps to ramp up to be peak, and so he's likely an early out as well, which means
not to interrupt you, Drew, but I want to get to the Preakness too. So, give me a name or two. Give us a name or two pre-draw that would leap to mind for you. As perhaps
it's going to be one of three guys, and it's going to be Tsitsipas, who's playing the best clay tennis of this cycle so far. It's going to be Zverev, who has the highest quality, highest ceiling, and has not won a slam, or it's going to be Ruud, who has made this final twice and ultimately may just have a soft path. I don't think Medvedev has a realistic shot, and I don't think you can go that far down the board looking for a long shot price to really kind of steal this one. So take your choice between Tsitsipas, Zverev, and Ruud, in my opinion.
I like that answer. Ruud is the sneaky, freaky brother sneaking in from the rear. He is really the sort of one lane in the weeds.
If you made me take one, it's going to be Ruud, and it's only because the conditions really play into his strengths, and he has made the final here twice.
Preakness, you kind of called your shot before the Derby, didn't you?
Oof. Yeah. I think he's gonna go off as the heavy favorite here.
By the way, Drew did not audibly moan. He actually named the horse. Could you repeat the name of the horse? Yes.
Muth.
There you go.
M-U-T-H. Muth. It's not Muth. It's not Muth.
No,
it's Muth.
Not Muth.
It's Muth. Muth. Are they saying boo or Muth?
No one knows.
No one knows. Muth is a Bob Baffert horse. He was one of the best in class in the Kentucky, run up. He did not run in the Kentucky Derby. You know why, Bill? You know why? It's because Bob Baffert is suspended from Churchill Downs. Well, he is not suspended from the Preakness. In fact, he is a return. He won the Preakness last year with National Treasure, and Muth got a great draw. He's the 4. He's the inside speed. He's going to get a rail ride. He's inside Mystic Dan, the Kentucky Derby champ. He's inside the other speed in the race, which is all to the outside. So I think, honestly, Baffert's 2 horses in this one, Muth and Imagination, are probably going to be your 2 top choices. They set the pace. Especially if it's a cool pace, these horses could just pull away down the stretch and kind of be the deciding factor. If you want a long shot to look out for, I would look for Tuscan Gold. He is the Chad Brown horse that did not run the Derby and kind of fits the mold of the cloud computing in the early voting, where he could ultimately be the spoiler. He's going to go off in like the 8-1 range, and I'll probably use him in some exotics. If I have to make an official call, I'm gonna have Muth over Tuscan Gold.
By the way, great job with all your reports. Great job wearing the hat during the Derby. You were awesome. You really were.
I do my best.
Drewski, thank you. Appreciate it, man.
All right, best luck, guys.
Drew Dinsick at whale_capper. We're coming back. Oh, my God, NFL Comeback Player of the Year. Oh, no, next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Sound the trumpets. That was your cue. It's horse racing time, so saddle up for action with DK Horse, an official DraftKings affiliate. Right now, new customers download the DK Horse app can get a 100% deposit bonus up to $250 when you use promo code VSiN Horse. All one word, Kelly. VSiN Horse. Yeah. Just deposit $25 or more, complete the playthrough requirement, wager on your favorite horses, then watch the races live right in the app. Download the DK Horse app now.
See, I can't even do I can't do the horse trumpets. The only trumpet I can do is Timmy trumpets with the Edwin Diaz intro. Dun, 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 dun. That's still so amazing. I saw it twice. So I saw it all 2 times. It was amazing. It's like the greatest thing that's happened in baseball in the past 20 years. was that one time Timmy
Really?
Trumpets was alive for
Really?
Edwin Diaz to come on the field.
Better than Barry Lamar Bonds Jack in 73? Yeah, better than that?
I said 20 years.
It's 20. It's within 20.
Barry's in there? Okay, yeah.
Michael Burns, we get tweets at Beating the Book. My work schedule prevents me from watching the NFL. Looks like I save $800 plus for all the streaming. I'm sleeping while they're playing. Kevin Ryan, Gil, Luka always looks like he needs a bath or has never taken one. It's very insightful commentary.
It does. He looks like he's always just gotten done, like warming up. I know what he's talking about.
I absolutely know what he's talking about. It's a very good analysis. Rat City. As a Mavericks fan growing up watching Dirk, Luka's exhausting to watch crying like a child. Thunder win the series 4-2. Seems to have resonated with folks. Larry Fresh. We mute the commercials during games. If not, we will be singing Wingstop music all week. And by the way, was that some Bob Dylan I heard in the background? Clearly, Mr. Stevens likes musicians with the name Bob. Gil, maybe we can get some Bobby Brown or Bobby Womack next week. That'd be good. Wish I didn't trust you so much.
Did Drew call you Bill last segment?
He did. He's going to act like that didn't happen. He did, is your answer. Oh, look who's texting. Look who's tweeting, I should say. Producer number 3, Georgie Bueno, Jorge Andres Mondaca. Jorge, because David Purdom and Ben Fox have both put out that 6 years ago today, Kelly. Do you know what happened 6 years ago today, just after 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific? The U.S. Supreme Court released a decision that dramatically changed the course of American sports betting, ruling PASPA unconstitutional. And Jorge Mondaca, producer number 3, so this is every year Jorge texts me or tweets me because we shared this moment. Supreme Court had this, I don't know if they still have this system, but it's this archaic, antiquated system where they would announce to the world that they were about to adjudicate on a subject through this system where, like, they would take stuff out of a box. Like, it was ridiculous. So I'm doing a terrible job explaining this, but there were dates throughout the beginning. No, there were dates at the beginning of like 2018 that Jorge and I had to mark down because we knew that the Supreme Court might announce, pardon me, that they were going to rule on the subject of sports betting. And so there was a couple dates at the beginning of March 18th where those dates came up, and Jorge was looking terrified. And, oh, my God, they're not going to rule on it. He looked. So we got to do our show that we had planned. But on these dates, we had to have 2 shows planned.
Yeah, and the toss out the rundown day, yep.
Yeah, and May 14th, 2018 came along, and Jorge, it was one of those dates, and Jorge does his thing where he's waiting to see if the Supreme Court pulls out this, we're going to talk about sports betting out of this box, or we're going to rule on it, and he turns around to me and has a look of horror on his face. And they decided that this is the day they were going to announce the result of it.
It's a great story. It is the history of VSiN and the amazing, the huge, massive moments.
That was a massive morning.
Obviously, sports betting in general and as a country, but for this network, that was a massive day.
It was a massive moment. I don't think we have any tape on it whatsoever. I wish we did, but I immediately transitioned into mode where I was talking about how the Supreme Court it wasn't really about sports betting. It was about adjudicating on whether this type of subject fell under federal auspices or state by state, and it was a whole thing, and sports betting was just the vehicle for that decision. And so that was the moment where it all changed, and here we are, 30 states plus the District of Columbia later, and say what you will about how it's evolved, but that's how it's evolved since then. That's a whole nother show.
Now we complain about apps 15 times a week.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Kelly, by the way, one more tweet here. This is from Jason H11, who says, friends don't let friends bet decky in golf or comeback player of the year in the NFL.
Jason, that's a great tweet. Good guy, great tweet.
Could have put Xander in instead of decky, maybe.
Yeah, Xander top 10 was the first bet I made for PGA.
I think we're talking about winners.
Yeah.
You also said to me, that's the greatest tease I've ever had out of a segment into another one. And all my tease was, oh, no, we're betting on comeback. We're going to talk comeback player of the year, NFL comeback player of the year. Because this is after the DeMar Hamlin almost dying on the field and then not winning NFL comeback player of the year and losing it to a guy in Joe Flacco who played 5 NFL games.
And we could not wait for these odds to open last year.
Couldn't wait for them to open.
Yeah.
And now, God help us, we're going to talk about this. Here it is. Aaron Rodgers is even money to win Comeback Player of the Year. And that makes sense because he's Aaron Rodgers. And remember, famously on play 4 last year, he ruptured his Achilles tendon, not to play again with the New York Jetropolitans. So is there a built-in narrative for him? Of course there is, because he's loudmouth Aaron Rodgers, and he's even money. Then there's Joe Burrow, who's coming off another major leg injury. Joe Burrow, 2-1. Kirk Cousins is 5-1. Now, help me out. Kirk Cousins also with the Achilles injury.
Yeah, I know where you're going here. Yeah.
But, okay.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers' even money already seems to be a more built-in, more powerful narrative, if you will, coming back from 4 plays than Kirk Cousins coming back from just being Kirk Cousins.
Okay. So the Aaron Rodgers one I always find interesting, right? Because there is do we still, this is a media vote at the end of the day, do we still think that there's any media members harboring ill will towards Aaron Rodgers at all?
Oh, I think there's some media members who are tired of Aaron Rodgers.
So, I still think that. So I don't think there's the media members out there thinking about that with Joe Burrow or Kirk Cousins.
No, Kirk Cousins is the opposite. He handled his Achilles injury perfectly. He didn't make himself the center of attention.
So why is there that big a separation in the odds?
Because Aaron Rodgers is such a, like I said, when I said loudmouth, people are going to try to interpret what I meant by that. Aaron Rodgers makes everything about him. There's no political statement in that. Aaron Rodgers, I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers had an Achilles injury. Kirk Cousins had an Achilles injury. Aaron Rodgers never let himself get out of the spotlight. The story was always about him. Oh, I'm going to come back. I'm setting up for that Washington Commanders game. It was like ridiculous, nonsensical medicine.
Yeah.
Again, for those of us who have had not 1 but 2 Achilles ruptures, we knew it to be that. And you had all these hack doctors on Twitter who wanted clicks, who jumped on it. Oh, yeah, he could be back. No, he could never be back. And Kirk Cousins did what most people do, who are leaders, who are actual leaders. He kept his mouth shut on the sidelines for the Minnesota Vikings, let his team play. He didn't make it about himself. Anthony Richardson, by the way, is plus 750. Can you win a Comeback Player of the Year coming back from a handful of games as a rookie? What are you coming back from?
I mean, maybe if he'd have to be outstanding, though. Right? It's got to be one of those top 3 guys, right? It's got to be one of those top 3.
Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. By the way, they're not giving it to Deshaun Watson. Right. Nick Chubb, Daniel Jones, Justin Herbert, Tank Dell, also on this list, shorter than 30-1. Listen, Rodgers, Burrow, Cousins, those are the 3 most prominent narratives.
3 quarterbacks, 3 good teams. I don't know. Kirk Cousins is 5-1. If I knew he was starting for sure week 1, right, because I think there's still some question over that, and, drafting Penix probably didn't help that at all. If I knew for sure he's starting, 5-1, I might take a bit of that.
Who's the Joe Flacco who's out there in the, nobody's even thinking about right now, who's sitting on a beach somewhere, who's like, you know what, I think I still want to resurrect my NFL career. Maybe I'll come back for the last 5 games of a season.
Well, there's obviously one name that I wrote down. Tom Brady. That would be the ultimate. Like, you just hand it to him now if he plans on returning it all. I don't know, though. I was wondering about that, too. Who's the other guy?
Who did you like? What's your bet here? You said you like something.
I think it would be
Cousins?
My biggest point was I don't think there should be that big a separation in the odds between Rodgers, Burrow, and Cousins.
Of course there shouldn't be, but are we really going to have these Comeback Player of the Year debates between now and the end of the... Like, if Hamlin can't win it, what do we know? We know nothing.
Yeah, at least these are 3. At least these are 3 situations, though they're all comparable, right?
No, I understand that. So it makes a debate about them even that much more thin, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I'm not running to bet it, but all I'm saying is I don't think the odds should be that big of a difference.
Oh, I think we crushed that segment.
I'm not laying even money with Aaron Rodgers. There's no way.
Oh no, there's no chance. The play on the field might have to dictate it between those 3.
Joe Flacco could win it.
What would Joe Flacco have to do to win it again? Came back from coming back. You're amazing. We'll come back. We'll talk multiple sports, including a visit with John Hasselbauer, little PGA, Valhalla. Let's do it next. Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.